Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Crypto Hipsters podcast, where I interview founders and co founders, entrepreneurs and artists, executives and stay at home hipsters in crypto and blockchain around the world. And I have an amazing podcast for you today. Let's get to it.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the podcast today. My name is Jamil Hasan, your host. I am super excited today to introduce our guest. Uh, her name is Sebnem Rusitschka, and she is an architect at Boson Protocol. And I've been excited about this interview since I know I was going to do it a week ago. So welcome, Sebnem, and can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your background and how it relates to what you do now?
Yes, thanks a lot. First of all, I'm also excited to be on the show. And my background is I'm a computer scientist who specialized pretty early on in peer-to-peer protocols and peer-to-peer systems. And when I get the chance to apply that in research at Siemens, the application field turned out to be decentralized energy pretty early on because that's pretty much drew me how we can actually make an impact on our living infrastructures through these computerized technologies that I studied and learned. How that relates to Boson Protocol actually, or what I'm doing now at Boson Protocol is a windy road, but I'm just trying to make the connections, the short circuits for it. So my first contact with Boson Protocol was because I thought it was a great application and timely application of how one can use the current possibilities around privacy preserving data structures and participatory architectures like Ocean Protocol in a domain which actually could benefit from decentralization, which is e-commerce, online commerce, where we have these monopolies that basically farm all of those billions from our exchanges that we as people and organizations do in our daily dependence on the commerce infrastructures, right? But when I joined and learned about what they have already implemented and invented as the core mechanisms, I also realized that there's way more potential to actually connect that back to clean energy, clean tech. Basically, if you get this chance to decentralize the commercial infrastructures that we're running on, and if we get the chance to really unbundle that and use the provenance that this technology and blockchain and smart contracts also enable, we also get a chance to also rewire, not just unbundle, but rewire these commercial flows to actually create, reduce our carbon footprint that we have through producing and consuming all the time, that we get a chance to actually also optimize for that. And it's of course one of those things that are possible in the midterm and long term, but that's something that definitely connects back to it as well. Pretty exciting.
Great. No, it is. It's awesome. You recently mentioned, with respect to your work at Boson Protocol, that token engineering is a transdisciplinary field that is thriving on the diversity of knowledge and backgrounds and the ability to create a common language. Could you please walk us through, in your view, what some of the important transdisciplines are in this exciting and diverse new field and what those common languages may be.
Okay, now that is the that is the rabbit holes and the networks of rabbit holes we're referring to. So token engineering, first of all, is something like software engineering. You know, people realize that this is something we should be doing, and that brings this legitimacy to what we're doing. These token economies are infrastructures, are potentially digital infrastructures that will connect the physical and digital worlds that make up our information era society's utility infrastructures. And when basically engineers get to work on those, we really wanted to bring in, yes, this mindset that we are need to go at this with engineering principles, and bring into it that we start with the ethical engineering principles. So that's a new that wasn't, for example, typical thing in software engineering back in the days, and it has never gotten into it. And that's why we have these dilemmas of ethical AI and software engineers telling, throwing their hands in the air and saying, well, no one told us that we are embedding our biases into the algorithm. In a similar way, token engineering is, is the practice of how we want to embed the many insights of all stakeholders into the engineering process. And cryptoeconomics basically is this mesh of many disciplines. For example, operations research, management science, AI and optimization, systems engineering, computer science, and cryptography anyways. So this technical side, but also disciplines like economics, game theory, decision science, psychology, and philosophy. Philosophy, ethics, and law is actually one big area where we will get these ethical design principles into the process. So these are just to name a few of the principles, and we have this great foundational paper in the community token economics, foundations of crypto economics. I will share the links, and there you will see this crypto economics flower that meshes all of these disciplines. And they do have one commonality. All of them is about basically resource allocation, especially the technical business disciplines, and decision making. And that gets into basically, all of the game theory, etc., is decision making. And intermeshing all of these, yes, will give us what we need to actually progress forward in this domain. But also we have this huge challenge to actually find a common language between not just business and tech, but between all of these disciplines that have insights into what is, answers from the lenses of their discipline, what is to be taken into account for optimal resource allocation, what is to be taken into account when we consider rational agents making decisions, which we know the reality of human interactions isn't as simple as most economic models made us believe till today. So so these are the many disciplines we draw from, and the common language basically is driving us towards programming languages, of course. Most of those disciplines also today have a computational as a prefix, so computational social sciences, computational economics, etc. So our common language, basically, we draw from, of course, software engineering, design thinking, systems thinking, and have this visual diagrams that enable us to describe dynamics of actors creating value and valuable stocks in a network, and how basically their actions make the value flow in the network. So this type of, if you can imagine. And then basically really taking from engineering principles and engineering processes that are established, that we go from these descriptive visual languages into actual modeling of, or mathematical modeling, from the conceptual model into mathematical modeling and computer simulation. And if we can wrap the circle, then we will be able to, offer these computer vision or computational insights into the dynamics of the token economies, also to every participant. The goal is to have participatory networks, not just some technocrats coming in and creating policies, embed them into smart contracts and let that run, but actually into a system that is transparent, and that the knobs and levers that can be actually made use of in that network, that this information is really accessible to every participant. Which, as you know, is an ideal, but it's not yet
Right.
the case either.
I was an ICO advisor back in 2017 and 2018, and on every white paper I read, which is like 5,000 of them, I would look at the token wheel, and I never knew that it's that much detail behind it. It's really complicated. It's really amazing to me. And it looks like, when I looked at the next question was going to be, I was asking about the World Economic Forum's definition of work. And that says, the 4 key areas are problem solving, self-management, technology use and development, and working with people. And it seems like your discipline has all of that combined into one.
Yeah. So that is like, I don't know if you know cybernetics from 1940s, 1970s. It's like the I call them the mystics of management. But it's basically, back then it was already clear that with more information and telecommunication, that we will get actually more information that computers can make use of, so that humans can make better decisions. And now we have yet another chance, yet another stab at it. And the goal is, again, to keep that diversity, and to make those insights really accessible to every participant. So
that's great. And you said the nail on the head. Humans making decisions. And we recently had an election in my country, and for president of the United States, and Joe Biden was elected president. And one of the driving factors of his voting base was this concept of equity, meaning it is the creation of an equitable future. What is your concept of an equitable future, and how, as a global society, can we achieve it?
Exactly. So this is deep, and this is basically also a call to every one of us as citizens of a global society, of participants of a global society, to actually think about what is equity, and really go radical deep into the roots of what is equity for you, what is equity for your neighborhood, and then go up into the circle of the global society, and you will realize that it's made full of trade-offs, right? And how do you make those trade-offs? these are things that actually have been left to politicians most of the time. But I don't know if you realized with the corona and all of the political decisions that needed to be made quickly, fast, that how much, and in Germany we still have that problem, how much of those political decisions actually lag, and how much they are based on maybe lobbying info, etc. So, as you say, I think, and I like your question, because you start with, a politician and their promise in your nation state, and go on to global society, and just the fact that you and I are talking about, and maybe because of a technology that enables global transparency, and with tokenizing, hopefully also transparent decision making, participatory decision making. How can we ensure equitable future? So, to be honest, for myself, it was this ride through the rabbit holes, as I mentioned, in iterations, and every time I had to ask myself, really? Do I have to ask myself that? Didn't the finance guys figure that out already? Didn't the governance guys and girls figure that already? And no, because we now have this new technology, or a technological advance once again, and now is the time really for every one of us, because it's enabling participatory or participation. All of us need to ask that question of equity. And I must tell you that I haven't, even for myself, figured that out. It goes back to how can we design systems that have as their output freedom, and equity doesn't mean that everyone is equal. It cannot mean that. And again, like I am on very, very shaky grounds. It goes down to, I wished I had all of these 8 disciplines, and people from those disciplines, whispering into my ear what to say. But this is what we need to grapple with in the next few years. And I hope, so my goal is really just to make those questions accessible to every participant, that they know they have to ask themselves, and that they also demand information and access to information to be able to ask for themselves.
And one of the things that you had said in the past was that you want to make the token infrastructures safer, so people can ask those questions. So asking and putting this in light of crypto and blockchain specifically, making the tokenized infrastructures safer. What does that mean, and how do we achieve that? In addition to asking questions, how do you think we can get there?
Yes. So, have you been active in the decentralized finance domain, if I may call it?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. How safe do you feel?
Not so safe if you're testing in prod.
Great. So that's exactly it, right? And we need those pioneers who dare to test and prod, and we need those pioneer participants who who hopefully don't put in their last shirt, but actually this is crypto that they accumulated over the past years, that they are now basically experimenting with. But this is what it is. It's live experiment with those actors. We want to, as much as possible have computer simulations for, but they will be human actors, and human ingenuity will be always one step ahead of what you can come up with in your computer simulations. So we will always have that risk, but like what this decentralized finance as an infrastructure has been building up to, and what basically got into live testing mode June last year is super fast. And if something goes wrong, like flash logs or within milliseconds and seconds, millions of funds being transferred across accounts. And it's like this game of musical chairs, it is someone's money that gets distributed and someone is losing. So however, these cryptoeconomic primitives that get tested, and then where we say, okay, this seems to be a pattern that one can use to actually make finance a feature of products and services that get basically exchanged. In order to get there, we will need this type of testing. We will need but then also we will need to actually get from that battlefield into, okay, these are the patterns that have been tested. Now we're basically going to create, embed this into other protocols. We're going to exchange the insight that we get from these different protocols using the same primitives, not just in basically making crypto funds go around, but actually, using the same patterns to create liquidity for products, projects, or even for data, for example. And from that, really make these best practices, the computer simulations, the audited code, and formalized and tested pieces of smart contract codes out there, make them accessible for further projects to use.
Great.
Mhm.
Go ahead.
No, that was basically, and then when I think further is, also make it safe for participants. Right now, if you look at the blockchain data, especially in DeFi governance tokens, who are holding, there's a site with Tolly.com. It actually shows the most, people with the most delegated votes, and it's Andre Cronje, one of those, builders and testers in prod. The other two is A16Z, ABC, and another VC, I think it's Polychain Capital. So a crypto native VC, a VC disruptor who went into crypto quick, and basically that guy that builds and that tests in prod. That these are the ones who are currently out there. Again, it's and if you want more equitable share of that value creation and wealth creation potential that now exists again, we need to make it safer for other participants as well. And again, it's all about decision making, right? All about information processing. And if we can make those tools that many of us can participate as well, not just the fearless builders and VCs.
And I want to talk about that with my next question. What impresses me about your background, is your previous work in the areas of clean energy, artificial intelligence, and smart cities. I have a particular interest in smart cities.
Cool.
How can we, not just in DeFi, right? But how can we apply those token economic principles to these three areas that you've worked in, have deep experience in, to rebuild the global economy, make things safer and more equitable?
Yeah. That's funny because actually, where I settled in token engineering is when I met Michael Zargam, and his background is robotic systems engineering and systems thinking. So basically, and I come from energy automation, building automation, basically utility infrastructure automation at Siemens, and had the opportunity to venture into any research opportunities that were over the past years. And for example, both of us, and also Trent, his background is in AI optimization, and we come from areas where errors cost a lot, and not just money, but also human lives, for example, livelihood. And that's why I guess our common denominator was, and we know like how these systems are being engineered. That's you don't do quick sprints and then test it, and if it doesn't work out, who cares? No, you really have to have a process of requirements engineering, etc. And quality assurance, all that jazz. But token engineering or crypto economics, at least for me, was quite new, that we have the possibility to actually embed the socioeconomic, the human layer into this whole system engineering processes. And that's something new, because techies, or even system engineers, are used to think about the problem sits in front of the keyboard, the user. It's something outside the system. And with token engineering, it's actually the other way around. And I believe, or at least from my experience, I can tell you that it was eye-opening to take that responsibility, to take that, acknowledge that power, that you can incentivize people to actually coordinate at global scale, but then also take the responsibility to say, okay, you don't want to be a master manipulator, or have this social credit system, or what have you, engineered at one point and then embedded or overlaid across a city or any human construct, or any social construct. So this whole insights also from importance of co-creation, active citizenship, etc. I believe these will grow together, or now we have the potential to grow these together, that basically we take with us from systems engineering, that how important it is to know what you're doing when you are actually embedding things into critical infrastructures, and then city infrastructures, for example, but at the same time also take with us to the importance of co-creation in a society, in a community. And that is something city planners or politicians in the city know by heart, but which is pretty new to techies. So I think these are the two sides that come together, and for me it was really mind-opening.
No, it is absolutely. I could ask you a ton more questions, but ask you on to come on again sometime in the near future. But I did want to ask one last question before wrapping up. Today, Monday, March 8th, is International Women's Day. What advice would you wish to share with women who are now considering a career in the digital economy, especially the ones who aren't necessarily techie, but have skills that will help drive things forward?
Yes, so we need you first and foremost, and I believe, and I have never worked in an area that was this diverse. So I've worked with so many women in the past 4 years in the blockchain space, and actually many of them are in political science, social science, legal, a lot of lawyers. But all of them are needed. I will share the crypto economics flower with you. So all of them are needed in this space, and many of them are very, very smart women I've worked with are already active. This is a very diverse field, and absolutely no fear to enter it. People still are super open and happy to explain and give you the threads that you need to get into the rabbit holes without being lost. So definitely join through any interest points you may have. Get into get into the forums, meetups you don't have anymore, but there are a lot of virtual events. But also all of these podcasts are very valuable resource for getting who is who, where are the links where I can read up on this information, etc. And join the token engineering community. You're welcome. There, really, yes. And I'll make sure to welcome every one of them in person and show them around.
Thank you very much. And speaking of showing them around, how can, first of all, it's been an honor and a privilege to have you on the show today. Thank you very much. How can people who are interested in talking to you or getting to know more about you, how can they find out more?
Yes, so Twitter is the place to go still. And again, token engineering community comments. It's a global society that is currently forming around all of these topics that I just mentioned. Boson Protocol is looking for more people to join to help us unbundle the commerce and create this e-commerce protocol together. There are a few other projects that are super interested. So yes, if interested, they will find a way to DM me. But Twitter and an interesting tweet is always something to get my attention.
Thank you very much.